Hello everyone, this is Vito's32, just straightening out my microphone here. I apologize. Today I have for you another unfortunate addition to the Kickstarter Hall of Shame. I just want to double check something quickly before I do this. I should have done that already. Yeah, okay. It's a go. It is Crooked King's Cards, run by Scott King and Jeffrey Morin. Let's get into this. And it's not just one project, it's three projects basically. But the main project, the main culprit, is the last project he did, the Bicycle Scarabs decks. The last update on that one was August the 2nd. That's like 4.5, almost 5 months ago now. That was the last update. Um, Previous updates, he obviously had other updates before that. There was a fulfillment update in July. It looks like he received the decks at the end of June. I was looking at this and it's pretty weird that it took so long because this was funded exactly a year ago. December 16th last year ago, it was funded on Kickstarter. A month later, he had the funds, then the surveys, and then he had everything approved with the USBC in March, and he only got the decks in June. That's quite a bit of time. Not too much, I guess, but usually it's 4 to 6 weeks, they say, to get decks produced for the USBC, and it took them like 3 times as long. So I don't know what's up with that. What I do know is that he had on this project over $53,000 out of a $20,000 goal. He always seems to have $20,000 goals. Almost $54,000. 1,199 backers. If I had backed it, it would have been 1,200, but I didn't. I said, not happening. I decided some time ago that I would just get his decks elsewhere because they're always available on other websites afterwards and usually for reasonable prices. In fact, he's been known to actually sell his decks outside Kickstarter on eBay for less money than backers were paying for, and that should not be happening. That's ludicrous. Looking at the comments on the page, a lot of people pretty upset. There's one guy who's been posting comments every day that say, still nothing, Scott King is still an asshole. Every single day now for weeks, he's been posting the same comment. A lot of other people looking to file claims with their banks and the credit cards and still waiting for stuff. And this despite the fact that it's been almost 5 months now since he's had the decks and started shipping them. Actually, more than that. He had the decks in June, if I recall correctly. He had the decks June 30th. So that means it's been almost 6 months now. He's had the decks, and people are still waiting for the product. To make matters worse, there's been 0 updates since August, beginning of August. August 2nd was the last update. And he's not responding to people, to messages. He does not seem to be active on Facebook. I tried to communicate with this Jeffrey Morin and didn't get a response. I actually sent a message to his wife on Facebook as well. Didn't get a response, but not surprisingly because she seems to be completely inactive for a long time on Facebook. Scott King is not active either, but he is getting tagged on stuff on Facebook by his relatives, so I know he's alive and well, because that would be pretty weird if he's getting tagged and stuff and he's not. So I don't see any excuses for this other than he's turned into a lot of other creators who just said screw it. And his last login actually was yesterday, December 16th, so he's active. He's on Kickstarter. And he's not responding to comments. He's not responding to messages. He's not posting updates. These are all the hallmarks of a creator who has thrown in the towel and does not give two shits about whether or not you get your stuff. And this is why I do these videos. It's because I think everyone needs to know about creators who are screwing people over, what to look for, and how to avoid them if possible. And just to let the people know, about these people. They should not, people like Scott King and other people that I've mentioned before in other videos, should not be allowed to just go and hide, walk off into the sunset, and be forgotten. People should know about them and know what they've done. And it's not the only project. One of his previous projects, the Bicycle 40 Years of Fear, which is a Jaws themed deck, despite the fact that it does not have actual Jaws branding. It says it's officially licensed. The official licensing is with the artist who did the artwork, not with Jaws or the studio that I know of, because there's nothing about, whatever the studio is, and it does not say Jaws anywhere on it. If I was doing a Jaws deck, I would call it Jaws, or Bicycle Jaws. I would not call it Bicycle 40 Years of Fear, especially if I have licensing. So that's a little bit questionable. But I was looking at the project, and this one, 40 Years of Fear, was funded July of 2015, last year as well, and he just barely funded, not even $1,000 over the funding goal. And there's people, there's been no comments since August on the project, but there's definitely been people in July and August posting comments that they're still waiting, they haven't received anything. Whether or not they did or not, I don't know, but the fact that, there's comments at that time and nobody's getting messages or updates, I think, tells me they probably didn't. And then the other one was the Bicycle Werewolf playing cards, which had over $36,000 out of a $20,000 goal. And it was funded April 2015. So all these projects from last year having a lot of issues. I don't think he's even done a project this year. Actually, there was one, but it failed. It got canceled. It wasn't doing well. Big surprise. I've also seen a lot of negative feedback regarding Scott King on the forums as well. For this one, the full moon, up until May of this year, comments from people asking him to reply to messages, saying they haven't received items, no report, no rewards, no response, still waiting, haven't received anything, blah, 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 blah. And that's been happening in all his projects this year from what it looks like. And obviously it's not acceptable. And he has lost all respect that he had. And if he ever tries to run a project again, likely won't fund. More than likely, I would have to say. And it's a shame too, because he's had, several successful projects, decent decks. I've never been a huge fan of his decks. They're not on par with other creators, but they're not bad. One of the biggest issues I've had is the fact that he always has multiple tuck cases for all his decks. It just seems like a cash grab, and a lot of other people have called him out on it on the forum, and he's just basically said, well, it's like a comic book, and I have multiple collectible covers on comic books, and, well, that's kind of like comparing apples to oranges. They're both fruits, they're both collectibles, but they're different, I would say. And, I mean, as a collector, I don't want to have to pay. They cost a lot more than comic books, I'm sure. They take up more space. And I don't want to have to. There's so many decks coming out that I don't want to have to spend unnecessary money just to get different tuck cases. And I have not been getting any of his different tuck cases. The last project he did, which is the only one he did this year, unsurprising, or somewhat surprisingly, is the Bicycle Court Wars, which was cancelled on May the 30th because it was not going to make it, and he gave up on it. So that's another kind of a weird sign. A creator, and he had only an $18,000 goal, unlike the previous $20,000 goals, but the creator just all of a sudden gives up on a project despite never doing this before. And I think this is already a sign that backers were stepping away from his projects because of issues from before. And now for some reason he's disappeared. And people are still waiting for stuff. Hasn't delivered. He did have an update. I have to go back to that one. I apologize. I know there was one update on that last project, the Scarabs. Come on. And yeah, he did have for the Scarabs like double what he usually has for backers. And that is something I want to talk about because he has something here. His last update, August 2nd, says he's still working on fulfillment. He drastically underestimated the sheer amount of work and volume of backers that we had on this project and apologized for the delay on getting these out, blah, blah, blah. It's our bust and we own it. At least he, admitted he made a mistake, but then he disappeared. He hasn't posted any updates since August, hasn't finished fulfilling. It's like he's given up. And this is why people use fulfillment companies, whether it's crowdfulfillment.com, which is from collectible playing cards, whether it's Gambler's Warehouse, Art of Play, or somebody else, because it's a lot of work to fulfill projects by yourself. And you know what? It's like 9 out of 10 times, creators who fulfill decks themselves end up running into these problems and they end up giving up and backers end up getting screwed over. So it's better, it's safer, I think, to back projects that are actually using fulfillment agencies because it's less hassle for the creators and it's smart and it's less headaches for them, and they're not going to just give up halfway through and stop fulfilling. And also there was an issue with a tuck case that he mentioned about the blue tuck cases. They weren't as vibrant in a certain they weren't as vibrant as they're supposed to be, only in a certain light. Again, you got to look at these things before you produce them, not afterwards. But mistakes happen, not a big deal. So those 3 projects, at the very least, 40 Years of Fear, Scarabs, Full Moon, backers still waiting on product, not receiving things. Last I checked, he's still selling stuff on his website. It's still active, kingscards.com. And it's not good. It's not looking good, and it's turning into a lot of other creators that I've seen and have inducted into the Hall of Fame, and that is that it's not going to happen. And as far as this Jeffrey Moran that I mentioned, his name is actually in the profile of the account, and he is a buddy of Scott King. He's a partner, and he actually runs Coins for Anything. He produces coins for his projects and others, I'm sure. So keep that in mind. What else was I going to say? One other thing that I've noticed in the comments is somebody was reporting that he was actually selling these decks on Amazon despite not fulfilling backers on the project. And now if you go to the Amazon page, you see the decks on there, the Scarabs, but you cannot buy them. They say they're unavailable, but apparently they were available at some point in time. And that is also not acceptable. Backers on Kickstarter to get the product before anyone else. So anyways, Crooked Kings cards, it's even in their name, we're crooked. Don't trust them. I don't recommend buying anything from them or backing their projects, especially after what's happening this year. And yeah, it's pretty bizarre that last year they had all these decks that came out, and this year, zip. One project did not make it, they canceled, and now they're screwing over backers. So you've been warned. Stay away from Scott King and Crooked Kings cards. And Scott, if you don't like it, Do something about it. Fulfill your rewards. Make an update. Don't just disappear. Don't be like Circle City Cards, Russell Kurtzwell, and Adam, and all these other idiots that have come before you. It's not that difficult. Man up, fess up your mistakes, make an update, fulfill the decks, get them out there, and then you can go bye-bye. But until then, that's all I've got. See you next time with more.